in Afghanistan, Australian forces have lost about 40 lives, but we've lost, probably 20 to 40 times that amount to suicide. I went through my own, PTSD loop, the loop you go through that you don't even know you're going through. As long as I'm doing my job, I'm fine, Then I realized that there was two things that the mainstream system wasn't seeing. Where if sleep improved, everything improved. We have to be so careful what we send through our eyeballs. Because, I look at Rome. They didn't conquer the world necessarily because of their military might. They conquered it because of the roads. The roads gave them access to deploy their influence. So we've got to be so careful what our roads to our brain is our eyes. And phones, social media, mainstream media, it can make things easier. Look at us. We're on the different sides of the planet. We're having a great conversation. But also, too, if you've given access through your eyeballs, whenever that thing wants to, just like Rome did, if it wanted to impose its intent, then it would.
This is Alone and Unafraid. This episode is brought to you by Cadence Wealth Partners. You need to get your financial shit together. And who better to do that than a former military dude? Specifically, I'm talking about Nick O'Kelly. He's legit, long tabber, special forces, 160th pilot. He's not your average dude. Now, I take small piles of money and I give it to him with the goal of making them bigger piles of money. We're not just talking about only managing money. We're talking about building a financial strategy, estate planning, retirement planning. We're talking 5-paragraph op order kind of shit, but for your finances. He handles all that shit. I don't want to do that. It's annoying. I want nothing to do with it.
Sounds good to me.
He also works with my CPA, and together they do all the tax strategy stuff. I've got a couple side businesses. Tyler's got a couple side hustles. You need some cats looking out for you. Cadence Wealth Partners can be those cats. They're trusted advisors. They come from our community. They're legit. Visit financeforvets.com. That's finance, 4vets.com to start a conversation today. Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Break yourself, fool!
All right, people, let's talk coffee. You already drink it every morning, every late night grind, but are you drinking good coffee or are you settling for that burnt gas station sludge that tastes like disappointment? If you're like me, I lived at 7-Eleven and Circle K, Wawa, drinking that gas station coffee. But let me put you on to something better, Polestar coffee. These guys aren't just roasting coffee, they're crafting it. Small batch, high quality, straight up delicious. No gimmicks, no bullshit, just damn good coffee made by people who actually give a shit and that you'd want to hang out with. And just because you listen to Alone and Unafraid, you're getting 10% off when you use offer code ALONE at checkout. That's right, support your friends, fuel your day, stop drinking garbage. You're already drinking coffee anyway, might as well make it count. Head over to polestarcoffee.com, grab a bag, use offer code ALONE at checkout, and taste the difference. You're not going to be sorry, I promise you. Do it. Welcome back to Alone and Unafraid, where we explore the intersections of everyday life, mental health, and mindset with ordinary people who have or are now facing incredible challenges. My name is Thad King, and I'm your host. Joining us today is Tim Thomas. He's a man who's walked through fire literally and figuratively and emerged stronger than ever. He's a former Australian Special Forces operator, ex-professional fighter, survivor of near-death experiences. Tim has dedicated his life to transforming the way we approach mental health, resilience, and rest. After battling PTSD and losing everything following a divorce, Tim rebuilt himself from the ground up along with a thriving company dedicated to helping others do the same. As the founder of Breathwork in Bed, he's pioneering a revolution in sleep and recovery, showing thousands how guided breathwork can unlock the key to better rest, improved well-being, and a stronger mind. Tim's impact speaks for itself. He's helped save over 40 veteran lives from suicide. In under a year, he's raised over $1 million for charities like the Gallipoli Medical Research Foundation and the Queensland Brain Institute. He's built a global community of over 50,000 active users, finding peace through his breathwork techniques. With a deep understanding of fear, resilience, and the power of generosity, Tim doesn't just inspire, he provides real, actionable tools that change lives, whether it's through mastering sleep, overcoming stress, or harnessing the science of breath. Tim is here to share that wisdom with us, and hopefully at the end, we might do a little breathwork exercise. Get ready for a conversation that's going to challenge you and what you thought you knew about wellness and leave you with the tools to hopefully transform your life and get a better night's sleep. Tyler, welcome back, dude.
Hi.
Tim, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
So, Tim, you founded a company called Breathwork in Bed, but you have a pretty interesting background. You're You're obviously from Australia, Special Forces, ex-pro fighter, veteran advocate. How and Afghan? You've been to Afghan. We did a little work, like we were talking about before the show. Tyler and I both work with 2 Commando. I was down in Hallsworthy Barracks in 2010, and then again in Iraq with them in 2015. So can you kind of give us a little bit of background on how you, like what led you to start Breathwork in Bed, and how did you come up with this idea?
Oh, look, there's nothing mystical about it. I was fucked in the dirt of Afghanistan. And, we all train for fatigue, but when you're outside the wire, it goes to a whole new level. Like, you lose your mates, you got limbs blown off others. And I'm beyond the point of physical exhaustion. And, one thing they teach you is when you take a sight picture, you take a deep breath in, let it out slow. And then you can, take up that first trigger pressure. And so what I did you never got anything that you'd call sleep, but when I laid down, I didn't have any energy. It was like I only had like 2 cents worth of energy. And I thought, well, if I've only got 2 cents worth, I've got to invest that. So I thought about my non-dominant hand and I breathed into that. And I just breathed into my thumb, deep breath in, let it go. Breathed in light to my thumb, let it go. Then my fingers. And before I knew it, all this breathing, just whatever sleep that I got, it had me waking up feeling so much more refreshed. And I thought, this is working. I went to bed with 2 cents worth of energy. I woke up with 4. I kept on reinvesting it until I got to a point where I'm like, I'm pretty good, and I even had enough energy to do a few extra push-ups and lift a few ammo crates. But then I realized that, if I'm in a team, and if my team's having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. So then how can I, help others? And I didn't know that breath work was a thing, but I just kept on doing it. And eventually it led me into the veteran recovery. Well, when I got out in 2010, I went through my own, PTSD loop, the loop you go through that you don't even know you're going through. As long as I'm doing my job, I'm fine, And then I realized that there was 2 things that the mainstream system wasn't seeing. And I had a goal of saving 40 veteran lives from suicide. And I thought if I work the rest of my life, if I achieve that, I'm going to die happy, because in Afghanistan, Australian forces have lost about 40 lives, but we've lost, probably 20 to 40 times that amount to suicide. And that was actually achieved within a year because I saw 2 things that the mainstream didn't see. And that was, if someone's in a state of fatigue, if they're not sleeping properly, it's really hard to for them to take on anything new. So I set up these veteran programs, and the success of them was measured by how much it improved the quality of sleep. And it was just like this magic thing where if sleep improved, everything improved. And it's kind of an obvious thing to say, but, when we're in, the sandpit of Afghanistan, we used to, attack the enemy's center of gravity, which was in many cases their sleep. So if we could take out the enemy's sleep for 3 nights, it would mess them up better than a bullet. So, with the awareness around how damaging it is, came the awareness of how healing it was. So it wasn't mystical. I'm like, well, this is working, keep doing it. This is working, keep doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting because we always know sleep is super important, but I heard a statistic that said it was something like if you sleep less than 5 hours a night, it's the equivalent of taking like years off your life. Have you ever heard anything like that?
Yeah, look, the data supporting sleep deprivation. Yeah, if you want to die early, sleep less. Sleep is one of those things where all the imbalances of the daytime, like you can put on a front like I'm killing it, right? But then at nighttime, all the imbalances show up because there's a disconnect. And there is a time, to push hard, go past your own fatigue levels, hit the gas, and I think this country was made great by that. And I don't think you'll never find your full potential if you don't really push hard. But if you don't, what they never taught me, especially in the Defence Force, was how to hit the brake, how to slow the nervous system down, how to drop the revs in the engine. I was just said, rev hard, rev hard, rev hard. Because if you can't drop your revs, you'll never get your body to heal. And so, that's what breath work does. It activates what's called your PNS, parasympathetic nervous system, where you can drop the revs of your engine and your body's natural ability to heal kicks in. And we're incredible. We can heal incredibly fast in the right conditions.
Did your experiences in Afghanistan and dealing with PTSD, were you onto the breath work before that, or did that happen afterwards? Or what and let's back up a little bit. What's your background in the Australian Defence Force? How long were you in? What did you do?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so my time in the Australian Defence Force wasn't unique. I did my tours to Afghanistan and East Timor, but the only really unique thing is in 2004, the Australian government, first time ever, started the DRSF scheme, direct recruiting into special forces, and they took properly screened civilian personnel, and I was told between 5,000 and 10,000 people applied. They had to go through physical testing, mental testing, aptitude, psychological, blah, 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 blah. And in 2004, January, the very first intake of 70 was taken for this direct recruiting into special forces. And that was highly resisted within the Army because before that point, you had to spend 2 years in a regular battalion before you could even apply. So they really tried to stop the scheme. A lot of our corporals in the School of Infantry had tried to get into special forces. They couldn't make it. So they're like, we're not going to let you guys through. And we got a statistic at our infantry school, and that is 300% more injuries than anyone else to go through that place. But of the 70 that got through, I was actually the oldest. The oldest allowable age in this scheme was 30, and I just turned 30. Everyone's saying you're too old, but I'm dyslexic, so I see things in patterns, and I see things that are obvious that other people don't see. And one was everyone's saying you're too old, but I'd never actually aged before, Thad. That was the first time I'd actually aged. So I'm like, shouldn't it be me that decides what I can and can't do at 30? And everyone here is a particular age, so we should be the ones defining what is possible at that age group. Because when I heard other people saying, oh, you can't do it, I'm actually hearing, you know what, that's you saying that I can't do it for themselves. So
that's interesting you bring that up, because I've always noticed that the haters, when I was in high school, I remember, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's interesting that you say that. It's a pretty interesting thing, because when I was in high school, we had a bunch of guys wanted to join the military, and some wanted to be Rangers and some wanted to be Navy SEALs. And I remember these haters that never did shit in their life always going, oh, you could never do that. It's the 1%ers. And that sticks with a lot of people, and you don't ever think about like somebody's got to do this. Well, why shouldn't it be you? And I think I don't know, Tyler, for you is like, I remember assessing for the 160th and they're like, nobody, good luck, you're not going to make it. And, you show up and you show out and you make it. So was that kind of the same? Did you get a lot of flack like that from these like NCOs? And for the Americans listening, a corporal in the Australian Defense Force is not like what a corporal is in the American Army. A corporal is a guy that's been around for a little bit. He's not like a new guy, right? Yeah. And because in our Army, a corporal he's probably been there maybe 2-3 years in the Army, not like a staff sergeant who's been, we have like a bajillion ranks in our, like it's, so anyways, just for the Americans listening, a corporal is not like the same as the American Army. So,
well, the age thing is funny too, because at 30, in the military, you are kind of in the older crowd. But when I was going through the pre-selection stuff, when I was 35, most of the older guys outperformed all the young kids, right? Because you've built up that, and I don't know if you were like an athlete or anything prior to trying that out. You said you were a professional fighter. I don't know if you were doing that before. But your physical fitness changes in your 30s and it becomes more of a stamina thing. And then you can put out longer. And most people just don't recognize that. And I think it's funny yeah, absolutely.
So after they said that, was that fuel for you just to go for it? Just to be like, no, fuck off, I got this.
Well, it was sort of a thing where you'd come so far. If you were to stop, then it would be such a tragedy.
Right.
And you really ask the question, why am I doing this? Your why becomes a big part of it. And it's good to move towards something you want. And when I work with high school students now, I use this ideal. It's good to move towards something you want, but it's actually even more powerful to move away from something you don't want. They did this really great experiment of a mouse going towards a piece of cheese. They had a piece of string on its tail and a spring, and they measured it was like 300 neutrons of force to get to this piece of cheese. And then they put a smell of a cat in the room as well, and it increased to like 1,200. So some days I was on selection and I was doing it because I wanted to wear that Sherwood beret. I wanted to be a commando. Other days I'm like, screw the beret, but if I stop this, I'm, the only job that I can go back to is the last job I had. And that I was so blessed to have an arsehole of a boss, because I'm like, there's no way in God's earth that I'm going back to that arsehole, So and that was real power, integrating that shadow, thinking of what you really don't want and going away from it. Yes, it would be more comfortable if I stopped right now, but it's the old saying, pain is temporary, pride is forever. Pain is temporary, regret is forever.
Right.
So having that sort of going towards something, but also going away from something was an incredibly powerful, combination. And yeah, the other thing that happened was my firstborn was born on my selection course. We have a 28-day selection course. And they said, look, you got a choice. You can, this is Special Forces selection. You can see your kid born, or you can do selection. You can't do both. I'd worked pretty hard to get to that point. And if I was to step back, it would mean probably another 18 months before I had another shot. And I had to ask the question, well, from the kid's perspective, how would he see this? And I thought, well, what does that kid need? Does he need me physically there at the birth, or does he need to come into this world and have a dad with a job? And I got my then wife all the help she needed. Got my mum down. Got her sister-in-law down, and I did selection.
Yeah, it's a tough choice.
Yeah, where is selection for the Special Forces?
So you remember we spoke earlier. You went out to Holsworthy.
Yeah, Holsworthy in Sydney, just outside
bush,
Sydney.
Yeah, just outside of Sydney. There's a big bush area that they run it out through there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I had a great time when I was there. People, I think for a lot of Americans when they go to Australia, this is the novelty of Australia, but driving on that back road from Halsworthy Barracks out to Luscombe Army Airfield, I shit you not, the wallabies, the small kangaroos, right? They're fucking everywhere, dude, at night. Like, it's like Frogger, but with wallabies. Like, they're like little midget kangaroos. And, and the other thing that blew me away about Australia is cockatoos. Those big white birds.
I know what they are, but why did they freak you out?
Because they're like $700 birds here. And in Australia, they're like, those are trash birds that they're just annoying as shit. And
you should see our women. I got you, Tyler. I got you.
Perfect.
We were at a couple of bars, and I learned that what the different, and I don't know, maybe this is just the place I was at. I went to what's that oldest bar in Sydney? It's like
the one in King's Cross.
Yeah, no. It's down in the Circle Quay or whatever. The
Circular Quay. I can't remember the name of it.
There's some bar that's like the oldest bar in Australia. And anyways, I learned the difference between, because I went to get a pint of beer, and the bartender reminded me that Australia's on the metric system and they don't do pints, but I could have a schooner. And I was like, what the fuck is a schooner? That's like
a sailboat,
dude. Yeah. It's like a 12 ounce beer. Okay. Probably, I think. I don't know. But
still a full size beer though.
Yeah, I don't know. Is a 12 ounce? That's a can of beer.
Yeah, about 285 mils is a schooner.
Okay. What's that in
that would be around 10, that's around 10 ounces.
Yeah,
maybe?
that sounds about right. Yeah, 10 ounces.
About 10, about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I drank Carlson draft. Carlton
draft, yeah.
Which is like the Budweiser of Australia, I think. Right? It's like old man beer.
I wouldn't say Budweiser in the same sentence as Australian beer.
Yeah.
That's almost
we wouldn't say Budweiser in the same sentence as beer. That's garbage beer. I don't know anybody. Do you know anybody that drinks Bud Light? I mean, Bud. I don't know anybody that drinks. Old men drink Bud.
Everywhere. Well, I guess it's Ice House where I came from. The shittier and the cheaper the beer, the more people drink it.
Milwaukee's Best is. Have you guys ever had that? Milwaukee's Best.
I'm sure they don't ship that outside of like.
They don't.
It's always the most marketed one. It's like everyone thinks Australians and Fosters. No one drinks Fosters. No way.
Yeah.
It was just a really good marketing campaign in the 90s here.
Yeah, God bless them. But don't tell me your skills are up there with your marketing. Yeah. It's the guy that rocks up with all the Gucci gear and he's got the can. This, that. I'm like,
yeah, absolutely. Can you and the loudest guy in the room.
Yeah. That was that. Anyways, not to derail the.
Sorry, got off the top.
No, Thad goes down the rabbit hole.
I'll go down rabbit holes. Like I can talk about.
He chases facts.
Bogans and
you went down the wallaby hole.
Yeah, yeah. We were staying over there in God, what's the name of that town? Not Campbelltown. Starts with an L. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was not a great neighborhood. Probably. What is it? Liverpool. Yeah. A bit. We were like in a bit rough side of town over there.
Oh yeah, that's yep.
So, anyways, so you're in selection. You missed the birth of your child, and then how long from that? You didn't miss it. Oh, okay. Well, so what happened there?
Here's the thing, right? I made a point of introducing my lovely then pregnant wife. And I call her my then wife, not my ex-wife, because I stand for a positive future for her, us. Introducing her to the officers. And, but what they let me have is a phone, one of those old Nokias.
Yeah.
And that's, it. Yeah. Do you guys ever, in the O group meetings, everyone's going to have their phones off. Did you ever like call your mates in the front row to test?
Yeah. That's standard.
Yeah. Oh, mate, best.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
But so I was allowed to have this phone, right? And I got the message this one day, and every day is hard on selection, but on this one particular day, they were crawling us through these cactuses. You know, the cactuses you got to pull out of your body with a bayonet, and you got to be really careful not to flick them onto your mate, and they'll go through your boot, And it was just a really sucky day, and I got this message, the water's broken, it's all happening. And I remember looking up to the trees thinking, I'm going to regret this day the rest of my life, And then at night time, we're setting out the night harbour. I was putting out the Claymore. And then out of nowhere, this little officer pops up. And he'd met my then wife. And he goes, oh, how's it going with Shannon? I'm like, yeah, it's all happening. I got a message saying, the water's broken. And then he goes, oh, do you want to go see her? And I immediately put my left foot forward and had my right hand behind my back. Because I'm getting ready to knock this guy out. Because you know what they do on selection. You want some water, they'll tip it out in front of you. We've just got to go towards the truck and the truck will drive off. And I'm like, I'm going to jail. I'm knocking out this officer. So I'm lining his chin up when he says, oh, you want to go, because I'm like, I'm not being messed with on this one. And he goes, no, I'm serious. You want to go see her. And when I established that, he was authentic, I'm like, yeah, I want to go see her. And the good thing about the Army, when an officer gets on the phone and starts swearing, a truck comes and grabs all my bombs and bullets. Another truck comes and grabs me, and we tear off to the hospital. And I'm running down the aisle, and I'm just in filthy cams and cam paint. I crash into the the maternity ward, and they're like, she's that way. They're all pointing, in that direction. And I actually get to see the birth of my son.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's like a movie script right there.
And not only that, that does a lot for like your connection to the unit, right? Like they went out of their way to take care of you. So you kind of feel like, now you're part of the community. Like, okay, you guys get it. You get me. You understand humans. Like you can push even harder because you believe in what they're doing and that they believe in you.
Yeah, it was good to have someone to have your back from up top.
Yeah.
It was great to be there. I didn't know it was going to be a boy or a girl. It was a boy. And then there was complications. My then wife had to go into surgery. I was up all night making sure everything was, I don't know what I was doing, but then everything was okay. I went back and out in the field, and then we started what we call demarcation, which is about 3 days, 2 or 3 nights, no sleep, no food. You can drink water, and it's just hard yards, But as much as I got sick, I did it with a smile on my face because I heard the cry of my newborn son. It's just funny how when you really flick that switch. And a lot of other guys came up to me afterwards and said, Tim, that was really inspiring, you getting out here and doing it. One, you're an old fucker, and two, you chose to be here, even though you might not even be able to see your son. So yeah, you get the feeling that when you're doing stuff, it's not just yourself in it. There's other people involved too. Yeah.
After you did special forces, after the selection, how long from selection before you deployed, before your first big mish?
Okay. So, we kind of figured that, the Australian government knew that war was coming, and the most economical way to fight it was with special forces. So they had a budget for it, but they didn't have bums on seats. So that's why they had that direct recruiting, from Civilian Street to fill the spots.
Yeah.
And I think it was late 2005 that Afghan kicked off. When we had a few cycles of direct recruiting guys come through, and Afghan was actually the best thing for us because we were just considered queue jumping civvies before Afghan. And when Afghan kicked off and we could do everything that everyone else could do, they became a fan of the scheme. But when Afghan first came in, because Australia hadn't had like a war, footing deployment, people were jumping over their mothers' graves to get a trip, right? But I remember, 5 years after that fact, there was guys going into the mess yelling out, "Does anyone want another trip? Anyone? You sure?" It was just like you couldn't give. It's not that you couldn't give it away, but it just became so casual. Whereas before, when it first happened, everyone was like, so if you weren't on the in crowd, you wouldn't get a trip. So I didn't get a trip until 2009.
Okay.
How long were your trips usually?
Through about 5 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Not like a 12-month trip, but obviously, you're pretty busy when you're over there. Back to back, back to back. So yeah, around 5 months, as I recall. Yeah,
it's still a lot of work, man. Ours were anywhere from like 30 to 90 days, but we do 2 or 3 a year, and so we're not doing long ones, but we're doing very busy ones, especially during the fighting season.
Yeah, and I think that was I did 15 months in the regular Army, and the difference with that is, and I volunteered to fly like as much as possible. So I would only me and this other guy who went to the 160th too, Tom O'Grady, we would work 14 days straight, or 13 days straight. And then on the 14th day, due to mandatory for pilots, you have to take a down day. And, however, when I got to the 160th, that didn't exist. So we would, you'd be on a 30, 45, 60 or 90 day deployment. And it was mission after mission, and sometimes multiple missions where I would pick up, these Rangers, insert them here, pull off, go pick up Special Forces guys, insert them over here, refuel, two missions going on at the same time, just sharing helicopters. And so that, I don't think people really understand how the importance of rest in those, in that 5 months or 6 month tour, when you're not sleeping, or when you're,
and not just when you're in that space, you are learning to accelerate. And when the fatigue comes in, no, accelerate harder. I've got to be more switched on, because I know that as I'm getting fatigued, there's a higher likelihood of me fucking up. So I've got to accelerate even more. So when this gets programmed into our system, so when you're in a safe space and you're on, I should be able to rest right now. But when that rest comes in, it's like there's just this inbuilt, adrenaline hit once the revs drop. But no, we've got to go up again. So this is why it's pretty much inevitable fucking up your endocrine system when you're accelerating without braking. And when I'm communicating this to people that are performance mindsets, performance is like a pyramid. Top of the pyramid, you're kicking ass, taking names, making bank, okay, hitting targets, all those things you want to do. But the bottom of the pyramid is your rest, recovery, and healing art forms. And the top looks nothing like the bottom. And it's almost like you've got to be a completely different person. But if the only person you've been is this, kick ass, take names, this is resisted, because this isn't, if I'm not doing anything, then I'm not being of use. And here's the kicker, often we attach our sense of self-worth to what we do and the velocity with which we do it. So if we slow down, we don't want to be that malingerer. We don't want to be the one that does nothing. And if I'm not contributing, then who the hell am I? So in understanding that the top is relative to the bottom, and if the bottom starts crumbling, it's a matter of time before that top falls down. So I didn't understand that. And when I got out, I was just this angry mofo. And I didn't know why. And it wasn't until I went to an endocrinologist who understood hormones. And he says, Tim, I've been seeing this since Vietnam. Cortisol too high for too long. And like I said, there's a time and a place for cortisol. There's a time to wake up, punch yourself behind the eyeballs and keep going. But if that is your only go-to, then too much cortisol for too long drives your hormones into the dirt, your testosterone system into the dirt. And you tell a guy, ask a guy, do you think testosterone is important? They're like, hell yeah, I do. Well, when's the last time you had a testosterone test? Oh, never, right? And here's the tricker. And this saved my life in 2011 when I went to this endocrinologist, and he said, Tim, you have to ignore what the GP says about your testosterone system. Because in Australia, there's been perceived abuses of testosterone. They've had a one-size-fits-all. So if you've got a high-performing individual and, he'll be low on the scale, but he's within the acceptable limits, the doctor will say you're fine. But you should be so much higher. So this one particular endocrinologist then regulated me back to where I should be. And I had no idea about hormones. And all of a sudden, I just became this, my then wife said, I feel like I've got my soft Timmy back. Okay. The husband that she fell in love with, not this angry dude that would fly off the handle. And it was in that moment I realized that if you are always throttling up and not knowing how to rest properly, you are cashing in your tomorrow to live today. And you can do that for a bit, but soon enough, those tomorrows catch up on you. And I was self-regulating with alcohol. That I couldn't speak to my then wife without drinking half a carton of grog. I was fine, right? I was doing everything I was supposed to do, but I could not drink, when I got home. And when I got myself out of that fatigue, that adrenal fatigue, I started asking the question, I didn't know I was imbalanced in that area, and I had some energy about myself. Well, what else? What other areas need building up? And that's when I had the energy to go into, look for a psychologist, psychiatrist, men's group, and those modalities of healings. But while I was still fatigued, even if I was in front of a good psychologist, I probably wouldn't have been able to get too much from them, because when you got nothing in your tank, it's really hard to create anything.
You're speaking my language, because I'm angry all the time. And
yeah.
Do you wake up at 2 a.m. quite regularly?
Yep. Every fucking night. And so there's this guy named Mark Gordon. Have you ever heard of him? Dr. Mark Gordon? And he hit me up on LinkedIn, and he was just on Joe Rogan, and Tyler and I were talking about it. And basically everything you just said, he's been working on for 30 years. And he sent me this video, and I didn't really think too much about it. I watched it, and I said, this is really cool. I'm interested in your modalities and what you do, but it didn't dawn on me until what you just said, that I'm not sleeping well, or not like I'm going to tell the story of how the dog pissed in my bed. I'm sticking with that story.
Yeah, sticking with that story.
But it's a true story.
It's a partially true story. There was piss in the bed, and Thad was in the bed. Yeah. Whether or not it was the dog or him, nobody knows.
It's 100% the dog. But so what's interesting, you said, is that you were angry because you weren't ever resting. So here's the correlation with me is, and Tyler can back this up, I'm angry every day, and like little tick turd stupid shit.
Yep.
Make me fly off the handle. Like it doesn't even, and I told my wife the other day, we were watching a movie, and I was like, yeah, you know what? None of this shit matters. Like my job doesn't matter. Like the only thing that matters is our health and the people we love. And she's like, oh my God, how the fuck do you not know this by now?
She's like,
and
finally.
She's like, I've been telling you this for 25 years. I've been telling you
this for years. You never listen. Yeah. You never listen.
Yeah.
Sorry, that added too much.
No,
you're good.
I mean, that's
perfect.
And it just clicked when you said it. Was like, oh, maybe, because what you just said is like every night, like last night, here's the piss story, is every night, typically around between 2 and 3 a.m. What's that?
You've been waiting for the piss story, viewers.
Yeah. You're gonna love this. So I'm laying in bed, and usually sometime between 2 and 3 a.m. is I'll typically wake up, and I tell my wife or the doctor, I said, look, my body is asleep, but my brain is 100% full throttle, wide open. Like I'm thinking about everything, but I'm not fully asleep, but I'm not 100% awake too. And then the dog, I like roll over and I feel this wet spot, and we have a little 7-month-old teacup Chihuahua, like this tiny little dog. and I feel a wet spot, and I pull the covers back, and there's piss in the bed, and I was like, fuck. So I like had to change the sheets, and then at this point I can't go to sleep. I just couldn't. I mean, I did fall asleep, but my brain is still 100 miles an hour. And I went to work this morning. I was dragging ass. I had a cup of coffee, and I was like, I told Tyler, I was like, I feel like shit, man. I slept like shit. And
bro, Thad, that is a fucked up limbo that you're living in. And when we're low on energy, we end up dipping into anger as a source of energy. Okay. And getting angry when you're low on energy is like writing a check for $100 when you've only got $2 in the account. It just puts you lower and lower and lower.
Yeah. Cause it gets worse every day. Like Tyler, you'd say I've gotten angrier in the last 6.
When you should be able to like throw your hands up and be like, fuck this. Right. Like I'm moving on. Be like, cool. You pay me every other Friday. Dope. Like that's perfect. But you don't.
Yeah. No, I just keep just circling the drain here.
It's funny you bring up the always being switched on thing, because I've been working through that with I got connected with a therapist through a nonprofit called The Battle Within. And she's like, you don't do anything middle ground. It's either on or off, right? Like I can't do anything in the middle. I can't just kind of coast through. I either need to like be fully invested in this thing, but if I can't fully invest in it, I just shut off. And so she's trying to have me work through just doing something middle of the road, not mediocre, but like your workouts don't have to be really long. You don't need to go do a 5-hour workout. You don't need to do this. Try like slowing down, rest, try to sleep more, things like that. It's hard because when I figure what feels like middle of the road is I'm not putting in enough effort.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do that.
Well, Tyler, I put it to you that you have a low dopamine pump.
Probably.
So for you to get the dopamine you want to feel satisfied, you have to push super extra hard to get this to the same level other people would by doing a quarter of what you do. Okay. And that's a blessing and a curse,
Right.
But if you attach a sense of, I have to be switched on, I have to focus on threats, and your survival comes into that, then all of a sudden you're, because what dopamine does is give you that ability to relax, and it's cool, right? But if you've got a low dopamine pump combined with fight or flight, you need a lot of this crushing energy to go, oh, now I can relax and everything's fine.
Right.
So essentially you're looking through all these incredible hard workouts, and there's certain utility in that, but the ability to relax and just connect to your own body, that's often what's missing. And it shows up in the intensity with which we do things, but also the reactionary nature we have, getting angry at things, turning into the Incredible Hulk at the drop of a hat. Because what happens is when we connect to something outside of our body so strongly, whether, fight or flight or a potential thing that might piss me off, we disconnect from our own body. And it's that disconnection that we try and bridge the gap. So your workouts, essentially you just connecting back into your own body and, oh, I'm happy to be here.
Right.
The anger that, Thad, you're feeling, that is your way of trying to create space around you so you can just goddamn think.
All right. That
problem solved.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, I was like, holy fuck, you're right. You're right. You're so right.
And so all these things are stored in our body. So blah, 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 talking about it like a therapist does isn't always the best way to access and unlock the stuff that's actually in our body. And it took me 6 years to find a guy that showed me, he'd worked with veterans for over 40 years. And the way he described it is that we as veterans get locked into this threat response feedback system. And when you're exposed to threat regularly and there's a survival to yourself or others attached to that, our eyes and inside your pupils, you've got rods and cones. They line up in a certain way so you can see threat more easily. So life occurs in two colors, safe and not safe. You could have a beautiful woman there, but you're sort of looking around her because she's safe. You're looking for threats. And I always found when there was people relaxed in my environment, I'm like, well, I have to be high level because if something bad happens, then they're not going to see it. They're like three people are going to die before they even react. So I have to be extra high level. So what this guy showed me was how to change, because if you look at your eye, right, it's the closest thing to your brain. And if this eye is in fight or flight, it's going, hey, we're in fight or flight. Hey, we're in fight or flight. And what he showed me was, and it took me 6 years to find this guy, how to change, as he described it, the rods and cones in your eyes to feed a different signal back to your brain. And I shit you not, it took me 3 months to trust this guy. And the only caveat to this little thing is you got to trust the person showing you. And then within 15 minutes, he showed me these little backwards, anti-instinctive kind of movements. And I'm happy to do it with you guys before the end. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, let's do it.
But as soon as he showed me, and it took less than 5 minutes, I sat back down. And even when I was doing it, I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done, right? But then when I sat back down, he says, how you feel? I'm like, oh my gosh, I can feel my arms and legs. Oh my gosh, I can feel my stomach, and my stomach is so freaking tight. Okay? Because what happens if we're in fight or flight, it's like we're looking through a peephole and it's going 1,000 miles an hour. And we think we just have to keep on going fast so we can keep up with all the threat. But what this guy did was crack this open and I could see everything, and I got connected back into my body. I could feel the tension in my stomach. Before I couldn't feel the tension because I was so connected to the thing outside of myself that I was disconnected from my own body. And there was all sorts of crap going on inside my own body that I was completely unaware of. And I had to work out really hard, bleeding from the eyeballs, just so I could feel like a reconnected person, you know? And then here's the thing. He took me outside afterwards. And as I'm walking, I'm feeling my feet on the ground. I'm like, this is so weird. Like almost like I'd been walking on stumps, because for years, it happens without you even noticing it. For years, I hadn't laughed. For years, I hadn't seen something so beautiful that stopped me. I go outside after he sort of cracked my eyes open, and he says, have a look at that tree. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the most beautiful tree I've ever seen. You know, and going through life without seeing beauty is one of those things that sort of, it just falls off your radar without even knowing it. So yeah, before the end of this, I'd love to show you what I showed you, what I was shown, and I've done this with thousands of veterans. And I'd also like to do the breathwork technique. So just we'll shelve that and we'll bring it out. So if you're listening, you are going to get value from this as we move forward.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make here is it's in our bodies. Okay. What psychologists study for 7 years, and no one tells them that the trauma we experience goes down deeper than words, man.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. And masters of their craft know how to get down to those depths of the body. And it's much deeper than just the spoken word.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's probably like the best explanation, because I've seen therapists that are like, it doesn't work. Like there's just, you know, if my wife gets mad at me because I end up firing them all, I'm like, this
well,
lady's
it's a collection
fucking,
of things that you have to do. It's not just one stop shop for one quick fix. It's like you have to do the breath work. You have to sleep. You have to eat right. You have to exercise. You have to, actually take a hard look at yourself and start working on those things. And, talk therapy comes in there, but maybe there's EMDR or, psychedelics or whatever, but it's like a whole grab bag of stuff. It's not, you don't just stop somewhere and be like, oh, cool, I've been doing a cold plunge, that's going to fix everything. Like, well, no, it's a good thing to do, but it's not the only thing to do.
Yeah. I think if you don't have a good foundation what's that?
People look for Superman when they're really hurting. I want the one thing that'll swoop in and save me.
Yeah, that's me.
And I tell you now, and
not Superman, but I'm looking
hands
for
up here, brother. And it wasn't until I had a chronic injury that I realized we're not in an age of information right now. The internet isn't information. It is marketing. The first 6 pages of Google are marketers. The loudest voices in the room are marketers, and they're really good to saying, hey, here's what you want. They're excellent at speaking the unspoken words inside your heart. That's exactly what I wanted. And they'll give testimonials of some flunky that they get to prove their products, whatever. And you can lose years of your life chasing these marketers, and they'll send you a little bit of truth, but then they won't connect you to real power. Because if you're connected to real power, you wouldn't need resales. Okay. Right. But the difference between a marketer and a healer, healers aren't as obvious. They're not the loudest voice in the room. You often find them through trusted referred sources. And what a healer does is, they know that they're human and their energy is not enough for 2 people, but what they have a connection to is something super powerful. And that might have taken them 10 years to get mastery over that connection, but they can give it to you in far less time. And once you have that connection, you've got it for the rest of your life. There's no resales. You've got that. And so I don't see myself as a breathwork coach. I see myself as someone who introduces you to the new love of your life, because you're gonna have that connection, and I'm just I'm hooking you up, but but there's no need for me to be there because I'm not the powerful one in the equation. And people can lose years of life chasing marketers. And I've known so many veterans have said, look, I asked for help. The help didn't help. In fact, it made it worse. So I'm never doing that again.
Yep.
Well, I think we've had that experience with the VA here, the Veterans Affairs. Does Australia have a version of
It's funny you should say that, Thad. So we have the DVA, Department of Veteran Affairs. And that was actually when I ran my veteran men's groups, that was a banned subject. You could not talk about it because what would happen, as you know yourself, when guys start saying VA, like, fuck that guy, and it would just become this negative vortex. I'm like, it's a banned subject. We're not talking about it because, we're not about creating negative vortexes here. So I hear you. We do, and it probably sounds like we have similar problems with it.
That's too bad because Thad and I are running a campaign here shortly to defund the VA. So we're going to.
Interesting.
Yeah, we know how they defunded the police. I don't know if I'm sure that made it to, did it make it to Australia with the whole George Floyd thing?
I'm probably the wrong person to speak to, Thad, because I deliberately don't watch mainstream media.
Good.
Because there's so many people, they come to me and they say, oh, it's a terrible world. And I'm like, is that you genuinely saying that? Or is that mainstream media piping through your brain out your mouth?
Right. Because
like,
outrage
fuck
sells.
me, man. Are you a sovereign nation or not? Like this is what I love about breathwork. We become sovereign. We get to control our own chemistry. And we have to be so careful what we send through our eyeballs because, I look at Rome. They didn't conquer the world necessarily because of their military might. They conquered it because of the roads. The roads gave them access to deploy their influence. Right. And what have so we've got to be so careful what our roads to our brain is our eyes, and phones, social media, mainstream media, like it can make things easier. Like look at us, we're on the different sides of the planet. We're having a great conversation. But also, too, if you've given access through your eyeballs, whenever that thing wants to, just like Rome did, if it wanted to impose its intent, then it would. Right. So that's why I'm like, fuck mainstream media. I think there's more empowered, connected people out there. We have the numbers, but we don't have the spotlight.
Yeah. We did an episode on that last season about what you consume consumes you. And
fucking oath.
My philosophy on news is I don't watch any news at all, like nothing. But if I go to work and people are talking about something, okay, now it's piqued other folks' interest. Well, let me see what they're talking about. And then I'll go look it up and if I'm interested, I'll, read it or whatever. But I agree with you. The mainstream media it's all garbage. Everything you consume, you go on any social media.
It's not news.
It's
not an informed.
Garbage.
It's not an information picture. It's just the stuff that's reactionary. They've figured out that if they put reactionary stuff up there, it'll water those weeds in your head, those negative weeds, and those negative weeds are thirsty motherfuckers. And they'll start taking it, because I think their mind's like a garden, whatever your water grows. And if you're watering the weeds of bad news, they get fed. And before you know it, you cannot not look at the news. But it's a bit like going on a clean eating cleanse. After 12 weeks, you have a burger again. You're like, oh my gosh, I felt like, right?
Yeah, I've done that
and
before.
So if you cleanse yourself from mainstream news, when just walking past the TV and you hear about some baby dying, it's like, oh my gosh.
I didn't notice that until we got rid of TV, that advertisements or advertisements.
Adverts.
How do you say that? No, is advertisements, right?
Well, no, ads.
Oh,
Yeah.
ads. Yeah. So
Not
They speak English, Thad.
Aluminium.
My name is Tim. I will speak American. I'll just yell English louder.
Yeah, look, man. It works.
Oh, I got that. That makes sense. It's totally
Okay.
registering.
Oh, yeah.
I've totally resigned myself to the fact that if I wasn't in the room, I don't know what happened. Right. So if everyone's always spitting these things and trying to tell you or sway you to one side or the other, it's like, I wasn't in the room. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just like a firefight, right? You could have 4 people in a firefight and 4 people are going to have different stories to what happened in that firefight.
Hey, man,
but they might all be.
No,
What's
we've
that?
all been to those parts of the world where the media reports on what we're doing. I'm like, that didn't fucking happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, yeah, what I'm saying. I'm trying to say I agree with you.
Yeah. I stopped watching TV, and then I walked by and watched an ad, and it was so clear to me that they were just trying to sell you something. And I was looking at the TV, and my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "This is so blatant." But 3 years ago, I would have watched this and not even. It would have went right over my head that I did.
Because you guys can actually advertise for big pharma companies, can't you?
Yeah,
Oh, it's disgusting.
It's
fucking
so
dangerous.
Weird.
It is. And it's always the side effects. The list of side effects is so astronomically large. And it usually starts with, possible death, but, or your skin falls off. You'll lose an ear, an eye, or a toe. 4 of your kids will die. But you might maybe lower your cholesterol. Nothing to do with the cheeseburgers.
Or the new one is the Ozempic one, the weight loss thing.
It's totally paralyzed a bunch of people's stomachs, I guess. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard that.
Well, the thing is, Tyler, Thad, we work on the assumption that life is valuable. I value your life, you value mine, right? And then we have this assumption that these companies value our lives too. They don't look at us as a point of value. They look at us as a point of increasing the spreadsheet to get a certain outcome.
Right.
And there's a point where you've got to say, I have to value this more than anyone else. And these people selling me this stuff, they want my money. They don't want to. Because if they were to genuinely connect me to something powerful, then I wouldn't need them again. You know? So it's a very scary assumption that they don't care about your life or death. They're quite happy to take dollars out of your pocket and put you into an early grave.
Yep. Keep you sick.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole, although right now things are changing. I mean, things aren't really changing, but they've got this guy RFK, who's now the Health and Human Services secretary. So we'll see. Although he was eating McDonald's, which is
he didn't look happy about it. That was awesome.
Yeah, he was. He didn't.
He was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, do I have to eat this? But
and Trump's like, "Yeah, gobble it up."
Yeah, yeah. And what's crazy is on the McDonald's thing and fast food. I was just in the UK for Christmas, and on New Year's Eve. We went to watch down on the Thames and watch the fireworks, and we're walking back with a huge crowd of folks, and the only restaurant that's open is a McDonald's, and we're all starving. So we're like, all right, let's get the McDonald's. But the fries in the McDonald's in the UK taste totally different than our fries. And we looked it up on the internet. We're like, why does it taste different? And the American McDonald's French fries has all kinds of additives and preservatives and crazy shit you should never ever put in your body. But I mean, everybody knows McDonald's is garbage, but
our food is terrible here.
Yeah, it's bad.
And like I know it's terrible, and I know it just by design of how food gets shipped around this country. And most people aren't like, working with a butcher to get fresh meat into any restaurant around here. But when I was in Scotland and I had their food, like everything was fresh. And I don't think I had anything that was like, everything I tasted like real bread. You know, it wasn't like a gym mat or something. And the beef was all, it just tasted, everything tasted fresh. And I came back and I was like, man, I fucking hate our food system.
Is the food in Australia or because you see that in America, because America is such a big country that we're not set up like Europe where there's, you know, high speed rails and really good public transportation, because, you know, Tyler and I we work at the same place. We live 45-minute drive away from each other. And that's very normal for Americans to, you know, drive an hour to go somewhere, 45 minutes. Have you seen, is that similar in Australia? Because I mean, when I was down there, I mean, it's very much a driving culture like the US, where you've got Team Ford and the Chevy company called Holden. Yeah, the Holden folks.
Yep.
And they have like El Caminos there. Those
yeah, I've seen them.
What do they call them? Utes.
Utes, yeah.
They're like a car and a pickup truck combined.
Yep.
Yeah. But is that the same? Is the food, what's the food quality like in Australia in terms of nutrition?
Well, we have probably the same access to the same, you know, junk food that you do. The new adventure sport in Australia is ordering Uber Eats. You know,
Guilty.
They promote like eat like a rock star, you know, and they make it look like it's this cool thing. But I kind of see us humans as we are what we marinate in. I see humans as we're like, it's like $100 piece of steak, right? But if you marinate that steak in shit, it's going to smell like shit and taste like shit.
Yep.
And actually, what time is it over there right now?
8:11.
8:11. Well, right now in Australia, it is 11:11, and every day at 11:11, I send my boy a little message telling him I'm thinking of him.
Oh, that's cool.
I just sent him the two 11s, 11:11. If you haven't, have you noticed I got a bit of a shiner there?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah, my freaking son gave it to me. My 20-year-old son. He's, you know, when they get bigger than you, you know, I mean, they never listen to you anyway. But when they're bigger than you, and he throws down, right? So he had his first cage fight on the weekend. So this last week the training's ramped up, and he gave his old man his very first black eye.
Oh, nice. Were you a sparring partner?
Yeah. So I helped train with him, more wrestling, but that used to be fully round. And people say, "Oh, do you want some makeup for that?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm wearing that shit like a badge."
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So did you get him into fighting, or was that something you were doing before, or how did that come about?
So before I was in the Special Forces, I was in the 90s. They had in Australia these no rules fights. It was pre-MMA.
Right.
It was in these sort of underground biker bars. It was semi-legal.
Bogans were out there with t-shirts, no shirts, and jeans.
You know, and if you took the fight to the ground, they'd yell out, throw shit at you like, "Only gay dogs fight on the ground." You know, it was insane. And you could smoke in the pubs, you know, back then. So you're going out there coughing up half a lung. And as a wrestler, yeah, they didn't like it when I took the fight to the ground. Anyway, that was the 90s. You know, I didn't push my son into it, but I made sure that the gyms he went to had some really, you know, powerful masculine role models, because, you know, your boy wants to, you know, he likes hanging out with you, but then early teenage years, they want to sort of stretch out a bit. So I was fortunate enough. I noticed that if I wanted my son to do something, I'd create a space where all his friends could come and do it as well. So I would put on these spaces where his friends would come along. And even though dad, you know, was a bit daggy, he'd hang out with his friends. So he got fed into that, that scene. And I've always been a firm proponent that young men need to be, before they become productive, constructive members of society, they've got to be, they go through this destructive cycle. And that's largely physical. They have to find out their own power. They have to know what they can damage, and they've got to feel damage. So, you know, I can say this now because the time has passed, but in high school, there was a lot, people sort of go at each other through social media, they do this and do that. And I said, listen, boy, I call him boy, you get your mates, all of them. We're going to go down the gym. We're going to lock the doors. The caveat is they've all got to wear mouth guards, and we're going to have this out. And you can't tell anyone. And these young men, they're like, right. And they went down there. I think my boy broke his thumb because, they don't know how to punch properly. There were some blood noses. But here's the thing. Driving back, all these young men were like the best friends. The best friends.
Yeah.
And who knew that giving damage and taking damage could bring about such an incredible freedom. I tell my son, don't, because he was fighting this weekend, his first cage fight, but it was wrestling, right? But in a cage. I said, look, it doesn't matter if you fall. What you are becoming is going to catch you. And this is where we have to let our young men fall on their face, have their head bounce off the concrete, because they're going to find out what's inside of in that space. If you rush there and try and clean them up too quickly, they need to be assured of the love you have for them, but they also need to be able to experience their own trial and hardships, because I think a young man's energy system is a bit like the lawn. You've got to, you mow it and then it grows back thicker. And you don't want to mow it down to the dirt. You don't want to do damage. You want to, mow it to the point where it grows back thicker. So I was super proud to have my son get into that, and then have him have his, even though I was wearing a black eye, have him had his first cage fight on the weekend.
How'd he do?
It was funny. He gets in the ring and they're like, his opponent was this guy. They were yelling out his name, and he wasn't around. Then, like, this is Australia. Like, does anyone here want to fight? And then this beefy looking dude comes running across the gym floor and jumps in the ring with my boy. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Anyway, he fights, he gets a rear naked, but it wasn't a blood choke. Those rear nakeds, if you get your radial bone, you put it across their jaw and you press their jaw and they tap out because they don't want their jaw.
So crank.
And then his opponent actually turned up and he fought again, and he did an old school Kizagatami move, where that entanglement where you grab their head and shoulder and put weight down on their lungs. So as a breathwork coach, I understood the body's wiring. So someone might be a black belt in their head, but this breath, its deep ancient wiring outranks our thinking mind. So if you can target someone's lungs, all that black belt skill level drops out pretty quick. So I weaponized breath work when I was a fighter, because you attack that and everything just goes to potato mash. And so that's what it was. So it was very satisfying to see my son, as he was fighting, targeting the breath to pre-fatigue his opponents. He ended up winning a gold medal on the day.
That's awesome. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we were just talking about in our last episode that wrestling, my son wrestles, and I wish I would have wrestled, and I really didn't come to that until I joined the Army. And we have I don't know, it's kind of corny, but they call it modern Army combatives. And it's like a mixture of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and Krav Maga, maybe mixed in there.
Like that.
Sounds like fun.
And it is fun.
Yeah, Tyler likes it for the dudes, but
I'm a big dude guy. Yeah. I wrestled in high school for like a year, or 7th grade, but I didn't have any like masculine role models, so to speak of. So it was fun and it was great, but I was 145 pounds. So I was wrestling like seniors that had been wrestling since kindergarten. And so I was just getting fucking mollywopped every time I'd go in there. And when you're 13 or 12 or whatever, I was 13 maybe.
Yeah. You want to be the best immediately.
Right. And you don't I'd already lost enough. I don't want to keep losing. So obviously I quit that and continued skateboarding, which I wish I would have stayed. And I think I did. There are things that in that year that I learned for like work ethic. just because wrestling is such an intense sport, and the training that you go through to wrestle, even in like a junior high level, is so insane that like, anyway, when I go do jiu-jitsu, people are like, oh, do you have a wrestling background? I'm like, no, not really. I was terrible. I didn't do much, but there's still like certain things just from manipulating the human body that sticks with you, just because, you know, you learn a lot of things when you go hands-on with somebody.
I do think there's before we were thinking, to me, wellness is about accessing all the parts of us that we'd been doing before we were thinking. You know, but like, think of us as evolved human beings.
Yeah.
You know, before we were sentient, putting paintings on rock walls, we were fighting.
Yep.
You know, we were breathing. You know, we were probably dancing.
Yep.
So all these things that we were doing before we were speaking and thinking, they're the, you know, unseen parts of us that if you bring into balance, all of a sudden we get that, you know, feeling of wellness, which is an overused term. Or the other way I put it, I say, look, you know, Tyler, Thad, if someone was looking at you, could they see all of you? No, there's unseen parts to you. And those unseen parts often, if there's a mental health issue, they're the parts that we're not addressing. You know, they're the parts that aren't in balance. They're the parts that I had to drink half a carton of grog each day, and I didn't know why, because the unseen parts of me were being malnourished. Like, I noticed that if you know, you could say, you know, humans are flesh and spirit. You could call it my spirit was not being nourished, so my physical body got that confused with, well, I just got to drink more alcohol, you know, or eat more food, or I don't know why I couldn't eat a carton of ice cream because there was unseen parts of me not being nourished. I think I went down a rabbit warren then. Thad?
Oh.
No. Wait, what did you call it? A rabbit warren?
Yeah, a rabbit hole. You don't call it a warren?
No.
No,
Yes,
it's a hole.
a rabbit warren. Yeah.
Are they different than wallaby holes?
No, wallabies don't. They live in.
Wallabies don't live in holes.
Are they a herd? Is it a herd of wallabies? No, I mean, they're fucking everywhere, dude. I'm telling you. Like, if you see one, there's like 3 other ones over there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The whole breath work. It's really cool to kind of see how it's clear to me that you've spent a lot of time researching this and really living it. And I had a friend that read that book by Wim Hof, the Iceman guy. And she would do the breath work, and she was like, it changed my life. And she gave me the book. It's sitting on my bookshelf, and I've never read it because kind of the guy doesn't resonate with me. I mean, his story is tragic. His wife died, and but if somebody like you, we come from similar backgrounds, we share similar, work ethics. It's I can see how that, the breathwork stuff is a really easy transition for advocacy for veterans. So what are you doing in that space for advocacy and how is that helping folks?
Right. So everything I do, Thad, has to pass a P test. All right. 3 Ps.
In the bed. P in the bed.
This is so topical. So it's got to be powerful, positive, but the 3rd P is most important, permanent. All right. Permanency is the key. And there's a lot of powerful and positive stuff out there. The circus comes to town, powerful and positive. Rah, rah, rah. That's awesome. I'm positive today. But then a week later, what the fuck's changed? If you really are about empowering people, permanency of your message has to be the indicator of if what you are doing is actually doing good and not just acting like a distraction. So I actually withdrew from public life 2 years ago. I'd just done a workshop on a local army base here in Brisbane, and I got an email from a very high-ranking officer who didn't attend, but all his corporals and sergeants came up to me and said, after that workshop, that was the first good night's sleep we've had in up to 5 years. And this it was a Louis Colonel. And he said, and he thought it was awesome, but I thought it was terrible. I'm like, your men haven't been sleeping in 5 years. All right. But then what he said next stopped me and withdrew me from public life. He said, okay, it was good when you were there, but what have you got when you're not there, I'm like, oh shit, I've just failed my P test. I'm not permanent. There's no permanency in what I do. And I'm just one dude. I can't, even if I did seminars every week for the rest of my life, I can't scale it out. I had to look at the powerful thing about this space is people's breath. So how do I remove myself and hook myself and have people connect into their breath? And as a dyslexic, I saw the pattern. I'm like, what does everyone have? Everyone's got a phone. If I can put a resource on their phone where they can connect into their breath twice a day, then I can step back and they're going to have the love of their life. So the Breathwork in Bed app, anyone can pull up their phone, put in Breathwork in bed, and it'll ask you 2 questions. When do you want to sleep? When do you want to wake up? And then we take care of the rest. Because this is what happens. People are already tired enough. They don't want to have to figure out, they know they're supposed to do stuff, but when they're in a position of fatigue, there is a certain amount of spoon feeding that needs to take place. And if I was to spoon feed anything to anybody, it would be sleep. Because once people start regenerating their sleep, all of a sudden, more energy, more options, and they start asking, well, this is feeling good. What else is there? And yeah. So if you put it in, you would have come up. Yeah, there we go. Breathwork in bed.
It's the green one.
28-day free trial. Obviously, it'll check if you've got a credit card attached to it, but we're giving away a month of good sleep. Yeah, thank you.
I'm pumped. I'm doing this shit tonight.
I'm gonna turn my wife onto it when we get done here.
Well, I'll tell you what too. In there as well, because do you remember how I said I used to have to drink half a carton of grog before I could speak to my then wife? I always thought, wouldn't it be nice to have something that didn't cost me so much and wasn't alcoholic that could help me connect to my partner? And in that app, in the sleep section, there's a couples breathwork section where it's as simple as holding your partner's hand, and certain breath will then remove all those blockers, and you just drop into this cloud with your partner. And you're like, wow, did I need to? No, I didn't need to drink all that, So having that connection to yourself is one thing, and it's awesome. And the breathwork technique we're going to do, if all you know is that for the rest of your life, that will serve you powerfully. And I spoke to this earlier. The reason why breathwork is so powerful is before we were thinking, before we were speaking, as living organisms, we were breathing. So that deep ancient wiring still lives inside of us. And so when we tap into that, it outranks our thinking mind. Because our thinking mind is a relatively new addition to the block, okay, to our living structure. And it's kind of like the new kid on the block that says, look, I don't understand everybody, but I just want to run the show. So I know if I keep them focused outside there, I'll be the one that tells them what to do. But your breath pulls you back into your body going, hey, young fella, we're actually all connected here, and we are much more powerful when we're connected. But the world we kind of live in tends to keep us looking outside of ourselves. And breath is so refreshing because you actually get to discover all the resources you've got inside of yourself, and you become a sovereign person. So it's not a set of lungs that we have under our rib cage. It's like a medicine cabinet with a lot of different shelves. You breathe a certain way, you elicit a certain response. When I'm working with high school students, I'll show them how to breathe through the stress of their exam and apply themselves academically. When I'm working with corporates, I'll show them how to hit that reactivation point so they can power through the afternoon. When I'm working with someone who wants to sleep, there's a certain type of breath work. When I'm working with someone who struggles to get out of bed, there's a certain type of breath work and activation. So this is where you get your sovereignty back, when you get to understand this incredible resource that we all have. And no one knows about this because no one's making money from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You can't market it. You can't sell it in a bottle.
Because everybody has it already. Like, it's a function.
Well, once you get connected to something powerful, there's no resales. Okay. But being a conscious and unconscious thing, it's really helpful to be coached. So that's why, this online resource, it'll fall out of your phone twice a day when you want it to. You just hit that button and then away you go. And I can tell you, it saved me so many times at 2 a.m. when my head's gone a million miles an hour to hit that button, to breathe a certain way. and there's still resistance. You know, there's that part of my head that's used to running the show that says, oh, breath work is bullshit. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. But then somewhere between breath 15 and 20, that crap gets kicked out of your head, and the rest of your mind is like, thank goodness you kicked them out. Keep breathing. This is working.
Yeah. And it's, you know, when you think about breath too, you know, I remember those Lamaze classes when women are, you know, they do that. And I used to always go, baby. Yeah, I would, from afar, I'd be like, that's garbage. But when my wife was pregnant and she used some of those techniques, and it worked. And I don't really remember them because I was probably making fun of her. Yeah, I was like,
what a loser,
dorks. So why don't we do you mind doing do you mind showing us we're going to do the eye thing?
We'll do the eye thing first, because the breath work takes you pretty deep. Okay. So the eye thing, very simple, but it will feel anti-instinctive. So all I'm going to get you guys to do is extend your right arm, okay, and look at your thumbnail. And most of the time when we hear a noise, say, off to our left, our eyes will go, then our face will go, okay? That's how the way our eyes work. But what we're going to do with this is, without looking at our thumbnail, our face is going to turn that way as our eyes follow that. And you see how my arm is one way and my head's facing the other, but my eyes are still looking back. Okay, so the trick is, and I'll just give you, I know, let me just put your hands down. Watch the demo. Okay, wait for it. So we're going to have our right hand out, and so our chin and hand and sternum is 12 o'clock. Okay, and we're going to go from 12 o'clock. My head's going to be facing, say, 9 o'clock, and my hands and eyes are going to be facing 3, and they're going to arrive at the same time. So the slower you do this, the better it is. Okay? Nice and really slow, looking back. It slowly comes back. I can see it now. And then the hand and the chin arrive at 12 o'clock at the same time. So the idea of this is to have everything moving apart nice and slow. I can't see it, but that's okay. And my hand is twisted back, or my head's one way, my arm's another, and then it slowly comes back. I look for it. There it is. And then it comes back into focus, and then we're at 12 o'clock. All right, so you might need to sort of put your microphones away a little bit. It will feel like you're going cross-eyed. That's perfectly normal. Sometimes guys have a little bit of stuff coming through. All right, so all I'm going to ask you right now is give yourself permission to let this do what it does to your body. Give your body physical permission to take this on board, to receive what this has to give you. And now, okay. Just if you're giving yourself permission, just sort of nod your head. Now I'm going to ask, do you give your subconscious mind permission to let this do what it does? All right.
Can do.
Okay, so extending out your right hand, looking at your thumbnail, and now gently start moving away from 12 o'clock, following that thumb, turn your head so your face is going the other way. That's it, turn your head, keep looking back until your head's completely facing the other way. Keep looking back, and now gently bring it back to center. Slowly, gently. The slower and gently it is, the better. Okay, look for the thumb, and then everything comes back to 12 o'clock. And just take a deep breath and just relax, because the more you relax this, the better. This is not like something we push hard and, fight through. We're going to do the same thing again, looking at our thumbs, opening it up. Our head goes one way. Turn your head. Feel like you're sort of pulling that eye one way as your face goes the other. Keep looking back. Keep looking for it even though you can't see it. Breathe, take a deep breath, and slowly bring it back to 12 o'clock. Look for the thumb. Keep looking for the thumb. Have it all coming back to 12 o'clock. Look for the thumb. Refocus. Look at the details in your thumb. And we're going to do this 3 more times in your own time. So breathing in, opening up. Turn your head, looking back, looking back, looking back. Keep looking back, almost like you're stretching out your eyeball. And hold that stretch for a bit. Take a breath. And gently, slowly bring it back in. Look for it. Look for that thumb. Keep looking for that thumb. Nice and slow. You want your chin and your hand to arrive at 12 o'clock at the same time. So they're going at different speeds here. Okay. Okay, 2 more times. Deep breath in. Look at it. Move. Allow that stretch of your eyeball. You can't see it, but that's okay. Keep looking back. Keep looking back. Keep looking back. This is a new movement. You haven't done this before, probably ever. So it's good that you guys are doing really well. And have your hand and your chin arriving at that 12 o'clock place at the same time. And on this last one, I want you to do it twice as slow. So looking at your thumb, deep breath, twice as slow, twice as relaxed. Focus on your thumb and open it up. Looking back, allow yourself to stretch, turn your face away, keep looking back, keep looking back. Feel how your face is one way, your eyes are another, and your thumb is the other way. And then twice as slow, start bringing it back. And your chin and your hand arrive at 12 o'clock at the same time. And then just take a breath and let that gently drop to your side. So in between, because we've done our right side, we'll be doing our left side now. So we've done one side of our brain, we're about to do the other. But in between, you've got to allow, because this is new stuff, there's a lot of new neural pathways being connected here. All right? So you give yourself, 30 to 45 seconds in between so your brain can adjust. It's a bit like a baby. It'll be, on its back and it'll try and roll to its stomach. It'll go, and then it'll stop. The brain will figure it out. Then it'll go boom and then roll over. Okay, so we've got to allow these new neural pathways to form because there's a lot of stuff going on there.
I can feel and I can see a difference between my right eye and my left eye right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
Did your thumb look weird?
Everything looked weird.
Yeah.
I look weird, so it's just
So
kind of
this
part
look
of
like
the
my
parcel.
thumb.
We're gonna go to the other side now. Okay, literally. So holding out your left thumb, looking at your left thumb, taking a deep breath, and then gently opening it up. And just because you did it on one side doesn't mean it's going to be easy on the other side. This is a completely different part of your brain with different things stored in it. So opening it up, turning your head, feel your head turning, your eye looking back, looking for your thumb, and then slowly bringing it back. The whole goal of this is for your chin and your thumb to arrive at 12 o'clock in front of your sternum at 12 o'clock. And when you get to 12 o'clock, take a nice deep breath because we sometimes forget to breathe. Looking at your thumb. And then when you're ready, breathe in and turn your head as your thumb goes back and you're looking back. Really good. You guys are doing really good. So keep straining that eye back. You can't see anything, but that's not the point. And then when you're ready, breathe, deep breath, bring it back to 12 o'clock. Nice and slow. And then when you get back to 12 o'clock, reset, get everything back to 12 o'clock. And then deep breath. And I sort of let it out slowly as I'm looking back. And you might notice that you can actually see your thumb, at a greater range as you turn your head. So to turn that head, look back, allow yourself to turn that head fully. And then bring it back nice and slow. The goal of which is your thumb and your chin to arrive at the same time. So your hand travels at a slightly different rate to your chin. You guys are doing really well. Deep breath. and relax that shoulder. This isn't a bench press. The more you relax right now, the better you are going to let this realign your nervous system. No resistance. Okay. We've given ourselves permission to receive what we need to receive right now. So with that receivership, take a deep breath in and open up, looking at that left thumb. Really good. Looking back, turn your face, push your hand back, take a deep breath and bring it back slowly to 12 o'clock. And we're going to do that 2 more times. And on the last one, we do it twice as slow, twice as relaxed. You can breathe twice as much. But keep stretching out that space. Keep looking your eyes, turning your head, moving your shoulder, and then bringing it back to center. Everything lines up at the same time. And remember on this last one, twice as slow, twice as relaxed, twice the letting it in, receiving it in, whatever this has given you, just let this in. Okay, you're completely safe. You're in trusted company. We got each other's backs. Really crank that eye back, turn your head, turn your arms, and then twice as slow, coming back to 12 o'clock. And when you get back to 12 o'clock, just let everything line up again. Get that focus on your thumbnail, a few breaths, and then relax that shoulder and let it drop down by your side. You know, move your shoulders if you need to, move your neck if you need to. Let's just get back into the moment. And let's just check in with our bodies. Just check in your own mind, like how's your physical body feeling? If you look around the room, can you see anything different? Can you see any details? Can you see a wider aperture of vision?
Yeah, I could say yes to that. Everything is a little bit clearer. It's almost like my astigmatism kind of went away for a little bit.
I noticed that before I could see, here, and then I could see wider now.
I don't know why, but I was also super tense during the whole thing. I was trying not to be.
Yeah, no, and
I couldn't not look over here. I kept myself kept catching myself like looking forward as I was turning my head, and I was like, no, don't worry about it. There's nothing over there. There's nothing to look at over there.
I can feel like my shoulders are tense now. I didn't feel that before. Yeah, what was strange to me is like my peripheral vision got way bigger now. Like I can see a lot more.
My eyes feel more relaxed.
Yeah.
Well, that I treat it like a windscreen wiper. When I want to clear my tension, and the more you do this, the deeper it will go. We only did 6 reps. Classically, you do between 8 and 15. But I just wanted to introduce you to this to sort of put your toe in the pool to get that particularly good to do before going to sleep. Or if I'm about to go for a run, I'll do that. And when I go for a run, it's like everything's like the National Geographic. Everything's like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. All right. Or even if before you go hunting, to be able to see it all and see the clarity. This, if your eyes are relaxed, if you were to check in with your body, is there more tension there, less tension, no tension, same, honest answers only?
I feel like I feel more relaxed internally. Obviously, I was holding a lot of stress up in my neck and my head, trying not to fuck it up, but trying to also relax. But through that, I do feel more relaxed after that, for real.
Yeah, I think for me, I notice like all the tension in my, like I didn't feel this before, but now like the back of my traps basically feel like some tension in my stomach. Kind of, it doesn't hurt. It's just like a weird, like a knot or something. I don't know how to describe that, but in the back of the base of my neck, does the base of your neck feel weird?
No, not really.
Yeah.
But it's neat for me to see this. And I saw somebody did something similar. I went to a close contact gunfighter course where it's, wrestling guns away from people, and you're doing it with sim rounds. So you have to go hands on with somebody, grab a gun from, or if they pull a gun on you, you have to, you don't have one, how do you get that gun out? And you're shooting people point blank with sim rounds. But the guy, before we did all of that, he ran us through a similar kind of like, an eye thing like that. He's like, hey, this is going to help you, zero in on targets, but see the bigger picture. So it was, in that application, it worked. And in this application, I get it. I like it.
Well, we did the lateral movements, and I'll just give you a little teaser right now. We won't go fully into it, but it's the same thing with the vertical. So eyes looking forward, but as my head goes up, where my fingers are is where my eyes go. My eyes go down.
Yep.
And then 12 o'clock, and my eyes go up as I go down. So having that, working both axes, that's another way to, and just for fun for yourself, just sort of, look out the front, and then as your head goes down, your eyes go up. And then as your head goes up, your eyes sort of look down at your cheekbones. So you get to sort of stretch your eyes on that lateral space. Raising up your head, looking down at your cheekbones, looking up your eyebrows as your head goes down. And again, this is counter-instinctive movements. So looking down as you look up, looking up as you look down. And just steady there, boys. And again, I'm just giving you that a dip so you can go into that. Again, this is free stuff. And if I'm out in public and I need to self-regulate, I'll go into the bathroom somewhere and I'll look at my elbow, not my thumb, but my elbow, and I'll do those ones on both sides, okay? And the amount of veterans that have said, that's saved my freaking life, that saved my evening, or even in traffic, if you're at a stoplight and it's safe to do so, a lot of veterans struggle in traffic, or even looking down, looking up. So having these in a state of relaxation sends a very different signal to your brain.
Yeah.
And I don't actually know if it's rods and cones or whatever it is, but I've done this with thousands of veterans, and they just seem to once your vision opens up and you can see it all, there's less need to focus in and work go 1,000 miles an hour, so there's access to a greater state of rest when you've got a wider sense of vision.
It's almost an intense focus to feel like you're doing it right, or to get it. So you're not, you can't, to do that correctly and to do the exercise correctly, you can't focus on anything else.
Correct. But also your desire to get it right can create stress as well.
Sure.
Because in the military, there's a right way, there's a wrong way. On civilian street, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. Geez, you're lucky if you turn up on time, right? So to embody that relaxed state, well, there's no wrong way to do it, okay?
Right.
And this is going to be super pertinent with this next one. So when I show you a little breathwork technique, don't think you got to get it right. Just think we just got to get it. All right.
Right. I noticed that it feels like blood is pumping to my brain. Like my head feels like, you ever hang upside down in a tree and all the blood rushes? That's what I feel like now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big shift going on. It's kind of like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. And if you dip into that regularly, it'll become a deeper and deeper experience. And just keeping in mind that you got to, it's usually 8 to 15 reps on each side. And I don't want to reps like you got to work hard. It's quite the opposite. The more you relax into this, the more it's going to uptake, which is counter-instinctive. We think the harder we work, the further we go. But when it comes to the parasympathetic nervous system, the more we relax, the deeper it goes, the more we go into the base of the pyramid. Okay. And this is where people who are quite active and they like being productive, they'll look at others who aren't productive and aren't particularly active and think, you're just a lazy piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
But then these people that know how to relax, and they look at, people that are those high achievers kicking up, and they're like, what are these guys doing? It's like they don't know how to relax. So so point I'm trying to make here is, if you can be the person that embodies both, if you can be the top of the pyramid, kick ass, take names, chew bubblegum. But then at the bottom, you just be that one that doesn't give a shit and lets it all go. And then you can be the one that moves between spaces, because the bottom of the pyramid looks nothing like the top of the pyramid. The person that's at the top of the pyramid is nothing like the person they become when they're at the bottom of the pyramid. So those, and the thing is, our harsh judgments of each other can stop us diving into that place of rest. I couldn't stop and do nothing because I'm like, I don't want to be a malingerer piece of shit. I can't do nothing. I've always got to do something, right? And you know, and if you spend too much time at the top, you end up burning out. If you spend too much time at the bottom, life actually becomes much harder because comfort zones shrink. You know, right. So stepping outside of your comfort zone, you know, there's a certain time that you need to be out there, but then you go back inside your comfort zone. There's a certain time that you need to be in there, and done right, you can actually create momentum both ways. So the more you go into the comfort zone, the more you don't give a shit, the more you relax, the more you trust yourself that elasticity is going to be there to propel you into your world of kicking ass, taking names, doing what you need to do. And if you can master this slingshot effect, you don't age like other people age. Okay, like I'm over 50 right now, and I'm still throwing down with my 20-year-old son. I don't give a shit if he gives me a black eye. I'm taking names of all those other 20-year-old kids that are like, holy shit, this guy's 50. You know, I'm like, because my son's not gonna listen to me and what I say. He's gonna see what I do. You know, and that's sort of I'm not bragging here, but I'm just saying, going into that state of rest and going inside your comfort zone, there is a time and a place for that. And in military type people and high performance, they have this aversion to being that type of person that does nothing. So I actually dedicate one day of the week where I'm that person who is the slug. I don't do anything. I deliberately don't have, and I don't, you know, I don't work, no electronics, no sugar. I just abstain from everything. You know, the buzzword is dopamine detox. Some people might even call it a holy day. But that allows me, and the only way, I'll share something with you, the only way I could actually have a day where I'm doing nothing, because I'm like, I'm not doing anything, I've got to do something, is the image of a bow and arrow. Because I love hitting targets, right? Nothing I'm more like doing. But when you first want to hit a target, you pull that arrow further away from the target to create momentum. So when I'm doing nothing, I'm not telling myself I'm doing nothing. I'm actually drawing the bow back. This is what it feels like to go away from your targets to create more momentum when you hit them. And dropping that cortisol out of my system, once it drops past a certain level, my body's like, oh, wow, our cortisol's dropped. We can heal ourselves now. So you sort of go a bit crazy as the revs of your engine drop. You're like, this is unfamiliar. But once they do drop, the body's like, oh, you're listening to us. Let's start healing. You know, so the seeing the self benefit in that rest, recovery, doing nothing is one of the most important parts of your longevity arsenal. So it's not what you do at the gym that I tell the young guys. I say it's what you do outside of the gym that makes you perform higher, longer. Because it seems to be this culture of, you know, push hard, ignore this, throttle. But unless you can drop the revs, you're going to be one of those people. And it seems pretty common that you're over the hill at 30. You're definitely over the hill at 40. Forget about 50. That's just, you know, play golf or something. And that is the natural progression if you don't know how to embody the rest, recovery. I don't give a crap about anything.
I like it.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out because I've got my day job. We've got this thing going on, and me and a buddy just started a coffee roasting company that we try to do like Fridays and Saturdays. Right. And it's between my normal workplace and my home. So I can stop there on my way home from work, knock out some stuff, and then come home from work. But then I'm also trying to train for this event in June, which is going to be a bear of a task. And so it's I'm trying to figure out, I want to have these things in addition to my life, you know, not like in place of my life. I don't want to put 100% into any of these because I still have to come home. I got to be a husband. I got to be a dad. I have all these things I have to do. And I'm trying to figure out what's the acceptable limits of on Sunday when I don't go into the shop, but I have my computer here and there's still a list of shit I need to knock out, right? Like I'm trying to find that balance, and I don't want to grow anything too fast because I'm aware that balance needs to exist, because I don't want to have something that takes away anymore, because we all had that career that just takes everything that you have and leaves you with nothing at the end of it, essentially, outside of a bunch of cool friends and silly stories, but
and anger
problems in Thad's case, and pee problems apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm trying to sort through all that.
Well, first up, you're ahead of the bell curve, because what most guys do, what I did, is you push things until something breaks.
Yeah.
And the problem with being a tough dude is our head's got to bounce off the concrete and half crack open before we start going, oh, maybe there's a better way.
Right.
All right. So the question I ask people is, what would happen if you spent your money like it was an endless supply?
Oh, you'd be po.
You'd be
broke
within a week. You'd probably be borrowing money off others. Okay.
Yep.
So I say that the energy is like, money is like energy in the way that how you invest it is how you get it back. So what would happen if you spent your energy like you had an unlimited supply?
Oh, the things that I've done in the past, I'd fall apart.
Yeah. Preach,
I've
brother.
been there. I've seen it.
So what I encourage people to do is, just like you'd have you manage your money and you have like shares portfolio, you have an energy portfolio. You see the things that, it might take a certain amount to invest into, $100 worth of energy, but you get $10,000 back, and that might show up as, I feel peaceful now. I feel powerful now. I feel joyful now. I feel loving now. That's a good sign of a good energy return. And that's unique to your energy signature. I believe everyone's got a unique energy signature. Like some people, they actually like playing guitar. I don't, but they could spend $100 investing in guitar and they get like $1,000 back. I'm not that guy, but that's their energy signature. So it's very easy when you're feeling a bit flat to adopt someone else's energy investment portfolio, in the way that I'm feeling like, oh, that guy seems to be doing really well with that energetic investment. Look, he's playing guitar and that's making me feel awesome. I need to play guitar, but this is destiny's path. It's not mysterious. It's saying, well, I invested $10 here. I got $100 back. I'll keep doing that. Or you could say, if I invest more than a certain amount, I don't get the same return. So let's say you could do, for example, half an hour in a gym, and that feels awesome, or 10 or 15, whatever it is. But then let's say you do 3 hours in the gym, you might get a big dopamine hit, but then later on you spike and you need so much time to recover and it takes away from all the other stuff. So sometimes, less is more. This is where the judgment of your application goes to. But the loudest voices in the room are often marketers, and they're saying, you've got to do this and rah, 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 and you push and you ignore what's inside. The old saying, if you don't go within yourself, you'll go without. So learning how to cultivate that unique energy signature that is you is part of the, hero's journey. And breath work is probably the quickest way I've found to put ourselves into this parasympathetic nervous system that actually allows us to rest, and we actually get some space around the things that are heating us up. Like your head doing stuff, that's awesome. I've got heat, but heat past a certain point becomes destructive. Doing nothing, freezing up, you become immobile. So that sort of balance between the two is the dance that someone who understands longevity, because I'm not retiring at 60. No, I'm as long as I got breath in my body, I'm going to be doing what I'm doing. So understanding that if you can manage your energy, you don't have the same timeline as everyone else. You're not going to be over the hill. You can always regenerate. This is the art form of wellness. It's not, hey, I feel good and I want to sit on a mountaintop and drink celery juice. Fine if you want to, but
nope.
This is about, kicking ass, taking names, hitting targets underneath a wide base of rest, recovery, healing art forms. And those healing art forms are unique to you. the universal one that I love to give people is breathwork. Free, non-addictive, super powerful, and I would absolutely love to show you how to completely relax your body within 3 breaths.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm game.
Yep.
All right. So how long have you been breathing for, Thad?
47 years.
47 years. All
47
right.
years and 9 months.
47. Okay.
Or if we're in Korea, 48 years because you come out at 1. Fun fact.
So it's a pretty old habit we have, right? So breath work isn't hard, but the fact that we've been breathing, and you've probably been breathing wrong your whole life. So I'm gonna show you something right now, and imagine there's no wrong way to do it. So you don't have to try, you just have to allow this breath to do what it does. Give yourself permission to allow this breath to do what it does. I'm going to use all my breathwork coach superpowers to give you what you need to take a full breath of air.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to cut out the actual breathwork exercises for the audio version of the podcast because I don't want you closing your eyes while you're trying to drive, because most of you are probably listening in your car. But I do want to say 10 days after this episode, I have been doing Tim's breathwork. And because I'm a little analytical, I've been tracking my sleep. And on average, I'm getting about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes more sleep a night. And I'm not waking up in the middle of the night like I used to, the sleep has been deeper for sure. So I challenge you to go to our website, aloneandunafraid.org. You can click on the videos tab, watch the breathwork video, and give it a shot. Seriously, try and check it out. I highly recommend it. Also, check out Tim's app. Tyler and I both got it, and I can honestly say it's the only thing that I've tried that truly forces me to be present in that moment because I'm concentrating on my breathing, and I do feel a lot better. So, and also my wife, it's really hard for her to fall asleep. And we did the couples breathwork exercise, and she was out before me, which is, I don't think ever happened in our 25 years of marriage. So check it out, give it a shot. You got nothing to lose. Let me know in the comments, or you can hit us up at info@aloneandunafraid. Let us know what you think. All right, back to the show.
That was neat. I've never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
But you can definitely feel like almost a decompression and a stress release for sure.
Yeah. I feel like just sitting here, like I feel like stuff is melting off my frame. Like it's just like going away. And I don't know that I've felt like that in a really long time. Even like we were in Mexico in April and we got massages. And it felt good, but it didn't feel like I wasn't as relaxed as I am right now.
And isn't that funny? 3 breaths.
Yeah.
Who knew?
And it didn't cost me anything.
And I'll venture you this. Anyone who's listening to this right now, and yourselves included, how many other people do you know could benefit from 3 breaths?
100%. Yeah.
So as easily, and I'm going to give you a link so you can, people can go through the tutorial of it. But often when people are asked, oh, do you need help? Oh, no, I don't need help. Do you want to help others? Yes, I want to help others. So you mastering this is going to allow you to powerfully help others. And it's such a joy to see how rapidly people drop into this when they simply breathe correctly. That's 3 proper breaths. And I might say this as well, that this is my front of house sample. This is the sample that if you really want to go through the doors and see what else is in the lolly shop, there is plenty there, and repetition restores. So like I said, if you can have these really powerful micro habits falling out of your phone twice a day, to me, there's 2 completely different types of people in this world, and they're both you. There's the you that's well rested and connected, and then there's you that's not well rested and disconnected. There's the you that knows how to invest in themselves and power themselves up, and then there's the you and me that isn't powered up. They still need power, but they got to take from others. We wonder why there's so many a-holes in this world, They need power, but they don't know how to generate it themselves.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer that a man's happiness and generosity is relative to how powerful he feels.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate, I think.
That starts with us. We have to be the one that gives ourselves that power, and otherwise we end up playing games trying to take it from others.
Yeah, that's great. Tim, I did not expect this, honestly. And for me, I want to thank you for coming and talking with us. And it's, how cool is it that we're on opposite side? I'm in the northern hemisphere. You're in the southern hemisphere on the other side of the world. We can speak the same language and we can communicate through time and space. And then we relax. Like, I mean, think about that. I mean, how fucking cool is that? Like, I didn't intend to do this. And I feel like today, you know, Tyler, we've had these moments where we're doing the show, and I think it was with Allison Smith. You were like, I really needed to hear that today. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
So I think today for me, Tim, there are some things that, like, no shit, like like the light bulb went on. I was like, that's part of it. That's why. So, I really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us today from Brisbane Brisbane's in Queensland, right?
Oh, very good. Yeah. Look at you go.
Yeah. So
Thad's filled with all the information.
Yeah.
I don't have the brain
Western
capacity
Australia,
for that.
Victoria, New South Wales, Australian Capital Region.
Killing it, Thad.
Northern Territory. I'm missing one.
He was a teenager that said, ask me how many bones I have in my hand. I really need a girlfriend.
But you know.
You're like an open book.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tim, if people want to get the app, I'll walk you through it, because I did it while we were doing it. If you're on, I am not an Android user, so you just go in the App Store, just type in Breathwork in bed, and it's the green one, and it'll look like, just like behind you. You can see you download it, and then once you download it, it goes to a welcome screen, and you just hit get started and just follow the prompts, and they're little arrows, and you just follow it. And I'm really excited to do this. We should share this with Kevin Gatley. He's our Navy SEAL buddy. He's doing a lot of brain research with University of Texas at Dallas. And I bet there's and we should, Adam would probably get he could probably use this with his patients, and
absolutely.
And Jeremy Thibodeau as well. These are all past guests we've had on our show that are
100% of everybody.
Yeah. Literally everybody we know. So,
my mom, probably my dog, from him being crazy tonight. He could probably use some work too. Yeah.
If you want to follow Tim, you can. He's on Facebook, Instagram at Breathwork in Bed, or just Breathwork in Bed altogether. And did I say TikTok already?
No.
TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Do you do TikToks? Are you doing the TikToks?
I don't. I mean, I mentioned this in the preamble. You know, if people could get one thing from this, it's not feeding their eyeballs with social junk mail. It's connecting with their breath. And
social junk mail.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
Because we there was probably a time when we paid attention to the junk mail in our mailboxes, right? But now everyone's like stuff that the social media is doing the same thing. That's why they get more and more, reactionary. But the point I'm trying to make here is, it's, if you really care about somebody, you will care about how they sleep.
Yeah.
And if I was to ask, the best thing I could give to anybody is giving them a good night's sleep. If you can get your sleep back, you can get your life back. And the exciting thing for me isn't just getting a wonderful night's sleep. There is an accumulation effect. Just like there's an accumulation effect of poor sleep, there's an accumulation effect of good sleep. So sleep is the soil from which everything grows. So if you think of everything in your life, your relationships, your body, your this, your that, everything, the quality of that is relative to the quality of your sleep. there is in every human these seeds of greatness lying dormant. These seeds lie dormant if the soil, just waiting for the soil to get in the right conditions. And you'll notice if you start reclaiming the night, reclaiming your sleep, these seeds of greatness, these seeds of uniqueness cannot not flourish. And that's what makes me so super excited about what I do.
Well, it's clear to me that you care because you've invested, we're coming up on 2.5 hours of your time. And, again, I just want to thank you for being with us, Tyler. You got any, you want to come off the top ropes as you often do with some shit I wasn't expecting of
I don't
wisdom?
have anything. I'm just, I don't have anything extra except for, again, this is another one of those. I think that's the best part about doing this is the art of conversation is dying fast and rapidly. And to be able to sit down with somebody and talk, it would be cool if we could do it face to face, but I mean, this is a great second.
Hey, mate, get me over the States. I'll run a workshop for you, mate.
Perfect. And I mean, I love it. And this is every guest we've had has brought something else to the table for me. And so for myself personally, this another great conversation.
Yeah. And the folks that know us in real life, we don't bullshit, folks. I really do feel noticeably relaxed. I can feel.
You sound different too.
Yeah.
You rewind this and how you're sounding initially to how you sound now. It sounds like you're coming from a deeper part of you.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. I mean, I feel better, and I'm excited to dial into the app tonight and go to bed, which is not that far off from us because it's we're getting old. So Tyler goes to bed earlier than me. He's up at what time do you get up? Like 5 a.m.
I get up at 5:30. I slept through my alarm today though. I got out of bed at like 6:30, and then I got up at 6:30 coming to work.
Yeah.
You guys are going to have fun with the wake up breath work because you set your alarm and your notification will come in at about the same time. Probably set your alarm maybe 10 minutes earlier.
Yep.
And then you'll see the notification, tap the notification, press play, and just lay there in your bed. Don't go anywhere. Just breathe, and you'll get little activation things. And then your feet hit the floor very differently because I'm the guy that when I first wake up, my body feels like lead and my mind goes to all these really shitty places. So to have that guidance there to go, no, concentrate on this, stay in your body, stay in your body, stay in your body. And then bit by bit by bit by bit, all that lead gets transformed into gold. And if I've noticed if I can win the first 10 minutes of the day, I've won the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely something starting off positive that really helps. So
you set the tone with a win, right?
Yeah, exactly. Except for the Buffalo Bills lost last night.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, everybody cares.
Nobody
Tyler.
cares.
And I know nobody follows American football outside of America, but the playoffs were last night. Our team lost for the fucking third straight year.
Perfect.
So
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Who's the top of the league over there?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And who'd be the bottom?
The Bills, I
No,
think.
Bills?
man,
And who?
fuck out of here. No. The bottom of the league is probably like, I don't know, Carolina probably. My alternate team, Carolina
I didn't even know
Panthers.
they had a team.
Yeah.
And who would beat about in the middle?
The Broncos.
Well, there's two conferences. So
You're about to open up another wallaby hole.
Yeah. No, it's a rabbit warren.
Warren, yep.
Yeah, rabbit warren. I don't know. The
That's
middle.
What
the
do you
middle
call a man
guys are
with a rabbit in his
probably
ass? Warren.
yeah. I don't know. Probably like the middle of the pack is like Minnesota and like Packers and but Australian rules football is really interesting though. Are you a rugby guy or Australian rules football or regular football?
I grew up playing Aussie rules.
Yeah.
My frame is probably a bit light to play rugby. That was my brother's game.
Okay.
But I asked about who's the middle, because in that sort of top third, there's only like maybe 2 or 3% difference in in the output. So any little tweaks is really noticeable. So I've always wondered in that top echelon, it'd be so interesting to get these guys really tapped into their parasympathetic, and then notice how it actually improves in their top of the pyramid.
Yeah. I bet in athletics it would really work. So. But my favorite thing about Australian rules football is when they're like, do that thing. That's the best. I still don't really understand it. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, that's it's straight. Yeah, it's like this. Yeah. Oh, that's us. We're touchdown like that.
You're up here. We're down here.
Yeah, like
you guys are yeehaw, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. They're like, hit a target.
Man.
We're just here to celebrate.
Yeah, I know. That's all. Well, Tim, thanks a lot for joining us. I really appreciate it. And everybody, get the app Breathwork in Bed. It's on the App Store and Google Play for you Android peasants out there that still have an Android. Do you have an iPhone, Tim, or an
it's actually right in my pocket. It's right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good. Tyler and I did you post those pictures on Instagram?
Yeah.
That we took this morning. Oh yeah. So we got some middle fingers in our Instagram feed this morning. So
nothing but
hey, seriously, Tim, what's that?
I said nothing but professionals.
Yeah. This is as real as it gets. But this is what, I think a lot of our audience likes this because this is just who we are. And we enjoy it and we can cut up and be funny and then be serious in the same conversation. So, Tim, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this one. This is one of my new faves, and I'm excited to. In like 45 minutes, I'm doing this breath work on the app, so I'm pumped. So cool. Well, Tim, thanks for being with us. Tyler, as always, it was great, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Roger that.
Thanks for coming, Tim. Bye.
See you. Hey, if you're still listening, we've got a little something for the real ones, the diehard, alone, and unafraid tribe. We're hooking up the first 5 people who email us at info@aloneandunafraid.org with a free surprise gift. But here's the catch. You got to share your favorite episode with someone who needs to hear it. Could be a buddy, a teammate, or someone who's grinding through a tough time. Snap a screenshot, send it their way, and let us know which episode you shared when you email us. The first 5 to do it, you get a free surprise. No bullshit, no strings, just our way of saying thank you for rolling with us. The clock's ticking.